We're talking about failure to ID or failure to identify. It's Texas Penal Code 3802, and there's a lot to this offense. It's something that happens all over the state, but in College Station, Bryan, especially on the Northgate area, anytime you've got a young person who is afraid to tell the police, their age based on, maybe having an alcoholic beverage or something like that when you're underage, you can run afoul of this failure to ID law really, really quickly. If you're underage and you're in possession of an alcoholic drink, that's called minor in possession. There's also a crime called minor in consumption. Those are Class C tickets. They are way easier to deal with than a failure to ID. A failure to ID is not just failing to ID, not just refusing to give a birthday or an address or something like that, but it also includes giving a false address or a false date of birth. So this kind of goes hand in hand, fake IDs sometimes. But if you are telling the officer a false date of birth, you're going to get a failure to identify. So let's look at the statute here. It's 3802. It says a person commits an offense if he intentionally refuses to give his name, residence address, or date of birth to a peace officer who has lawfully arrested the person and requested the information. So that first section there, subsection A, is talking about when you refuse to give your name, date of birth, or your residence address. Refusing, not to giving a false one, but refusing. So it's important to note there that you have to be lawfully arrested. If the officer has just detained you, he hasn't made an arrest yet, you're not in handcuffs, he's just kind of asking questions, you can refuse to give your name, things like that. But if he then arrests you for something, let's say public intoxication or minor in possession or minor in consumption, if you're now under arrest and he asks for your name, your residence address, and your date of birth, you have to give that information to him or you've committed failure to identify. Let's look at subsection B. A person commits an offense if he intentionally gives a false or fictitious name, residence address, or date of birth to a peace officer who has lawfully arrested the person, lawfully detained the person, or requested the information from a person the police officer believes has a good cause to believe as a witness to a crime. So you don't have to be arrested or detained, or I'm sorry, you don't have to be arrested to commit this other form, right? If you just refuse to give the officer the information, then it's only a crime if you've already been arrested. If you are being detained, though, and you give a false name or fictitious name or residence address or date of birth, then it becomes an offense. So if you give your correct birthday, but you're a year off because that makes you over 21 instead of under 21 to avoid the MIP, something like that, you're going to get arrested for this. So let's look at the rest of the section. Subsection C is like the punishments. It says an offense under this section for failing to give your information is a Class C misdemeanor if the offense is committed under subsection A, right? And subsection A is failing to give that when you're arrested. So that is a Class C. That's the same as like the MIP or the MIC. A Class B if you give the false information, which counts if you're detained or arrested either way. And then if it's shown on the trial that the defendant was a fugitive from justice, meaning you had a warrant and that's why you lied about your name or date of birth, then it increases at one level. So if you failed to give your information at all, it goes from a Class C to a Class B. And if you lied, it goes from a Class B to a Class A. And then it says if conduct that constitutes an offense under this section also constitutes an offense under section 1067 alcoholic beverage code, you can be processed under both, and that's going to be your other ID laws. So I hope this gives you some information about this as far as the penal code sections. But what do we actually do if this happens to you? Because what's probably happened is the officers normally have a body camera. They're going to have some kind of reason for coming and talking with you. Maybe not. Maybe we have a problem with the reasonable suspicion to begin an investigation, which means we're going to get a dismissal. But if we don't have that, how do we save you? How do we save your record on something like this? Well, that's where mitigation evidence comes into play. Like if you don't have any prior criminal history, this is your 19-year-old kid, you're going to Texas A&M or Blinn or something like that. You've got a good future ahead of you. We can show that to the prosecutors, and this is really just a mistake, a poor choice, bad judgment. Nobody expects you to have great judgment at that age. So what we have to do is convince the prosecutor to allow you to enroll in some kind of a program that allows the case to be dismissed. Maybe you complete some community service. Maybe you have to pay a fine. But what our goal has to be for a young person charged with this is an expunction. Anything that leads to an expunction is the same as if they dismiss it the day that you get arrested. They realize it was the wrong person and you're totally innocent, and they dismiss the case. Well, that will lead to an expunction. But there are other programs that can also lead to an expunction, and your record ends up in the same spot it was, where all the government records are deleted of it. So that's the best you can do in any kind of criminal case, is an expunction. And failure to ID is a type of crime that we're able to get those results on for our clients. It's not a guarantee. No lawyer can ever guarantee anything because the facts of your case matter. But if you give us a call, I'm sure we can give you a consultation, and we'll figure out what's going on with your case. You definitely want to talk to a lawyer anytime you're charged with failure to ID, even if it's a Class C. Making sure that you get the right result for your record is an important thing. So thanks for listening. If you like what you saw, don't forget to like and subscribe. And thanks so much. We'll see you next time.